Madness at the Darkmoon Faire is here, so it's time to review the Paladin cards. Starting up, we have Redscale Dragon Tamer. This is a 2-mana 2/3 Murloc with Death Rattle, draw a dragon. This card, on the surface, doesn't seem that great. You know, it's a 2-mana 2/3 Murloc, that stat line's okay, but is Murloc Paladin that good? It's okay, not really, kind of a high rolly deck, but there's better Paladin alternatives. But specifically, this draws dragons, and Scale Lord, which is the 5-mana 5/6 dragon that gives your Murlocs Divine Shield, is a very tight synergy, and being able to pull that card out specifically, I think is quite good. On top of that, one of the things that Paladin kind of struggles with right now is it doesn't have Divine Favor anymore, it doesn't have a great draw engine, and this is just a relatively well-statted Murloc that pulls out a specific card that you want in the deck and just helps cycle. So I think this card is like filling a lot of niches that the deck didn't have before. That being said, does that make it a tier 1 deck or a tier 2 deck or whatever? Hard to say, but I think this is an easy 4 to 5 in card quality. Again, I keep bringing up Novice Engineer because there's a lot of cards in this set that have to do with drawing and they're around 2 mana. This is a 2-mana 2/3 with a slow draw, but a specific one, and you're getting good stats for it, and it's a Murloc. I think it's a great card, 4 to 5 in card quality, and a 3 to 5 maybe in meta relevance. It could even be a 4. I think this pushes Murloc Paladin quite a bit, but the rest of the set doesn't push it that much, so I don't know. Next up we have Snack Run. This is a 2-mana spell. Discover a spell and restore health to your hero equal to its cost. I think Paladin has a lot of cheap spells that aren't that great, so you wouldn't heal that much, but it's still Discover, and there are a lot of great Paladin spells, and there's a lot of expensive Paladin spells that could synergize with like Librams and stuff, so I think this is a good card. I think it's quite powerful, maybe a 4 to 5, and I don't really know where this goes. I don't think it goes in like the Broom Paladin that we're seeing now. I don't really think there's going to be a Control Paladin, maybe like a Highlander or a Pure Paladin, like a one of. I'm going to give it a 3 to 5 for that reason. I don't see where it fits. That's kind of the theme for a lot of Paladin cards for me. It's like, we have a lot of good archetypes, so what's the best one going to be? Maybe it's Pure Paladin, Highlander, who knows? Next up we have Carnival Barker. This is whenever you summon a 1 health minion, give it +1/+2. On the surface, this feels like it's part of the Dude Paladin package that I'm going to show you guys a bit later, which is kind of buffing Silverhand recruits, but what's really important to see here is that this is any 1 health minion. And right now, Paladin has a lot of like decent 1 health minions, and that it can kind of draw from. It has the Argent Protector or whatever his name is. They have the 3/1 that draws a bunch of 1 health minions. You have the 1-mana 2/1 that gets +1 attack. And then you have your hero power. You have the Murloc that's dormant that summons 2 extra Murlocs. Those are all 1 health minions, including the Murloc itself. And they're summoned after they are done being dormant. Of course, you couldn't play it out on curve because if you played it on 1 and then this, but like, there's a lot of situations where this is good. So I actually think this is, to me, it's like between a 4 and a 5. It's quite a strong card. A 4 to 5 is probably what I'm going to give it. And I'm going to give it a 4 to 5 in meta relevance because I think somewhere in Paladin you will play this. It's more flexible than the Silverhand recruit stuff. Moving forward, we have My Yog. Funny name. It's a secret when your opponent casts a spell. They instead cast a random one of the same cost. I think this is really good. Again, Paladin getting a lot of good cards. This is just fairly disruptive. I think a lot of times you could look at this as like a 1-mana counter spell. Yes, you're going to get other cards, and sometimes those alternative spells might be good. But there's going to be lots of times where you're in a situation you're like, man, I'm about to fatigue. I really hope I don't draw cards, or I'm going to overdraw and mill certain key pieces. Or, oh man, I really hope I don't like clear the whole board when I have a bunch of minions on. Like there's spells that are really good in specific situations. And if you take a 3-mana spell and then turn it into a spell that isn't that good for the situation, it's really bad. I just see this as a card that I would be like, oh god, I have to play around that. That sucks. And anytime you have that feeling, usually means it's a good card. So I'm going to give this a 4 across the board. I think Paladin will find a place for this. Even as a tech card, maybe a 3 out of 5, because it's a good card, but maybe it just doesn't make the cut other than as a tech option. But I think it's a very strong secret. Moving right along, we have Lothraxion the Redeemed. This is Battlecry for the rest of the game. After you summon a Silverhand recruit, give it Divine Shield. Also a demon, I don't think that's relevant, but 5-mana 5/5 with the upside makes your hero power quite a bit stronger. Does make Silverhand recruits better the further you go, but it does come a little bit late. I think my issue with the Dude Paladin archetype, which is these kind of Silverhand recruits and buffing them, is it doesn't really seem better than Libram Paladin, and I think they kind of go in different directions. So I think the Libram package just is better, and even the Murloc package might be better. And I don't think you have space to run them all. So I think this card, maybe again in a Highlander or something, it's just like a fairly good card for your hero power. You might run it just because like you run so many buff cards and it makes your hero power, anything having Divine Shield just gets so much better with a buff. So I still think this card is pretty good. I would probably give it a 3 across the board, but I'm not really believing in the Dude Paladin stuff. Except we have the High Exarch Ural. This is Battlecry. If your deck has no neutral cards, gain Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, and Divine Shield. Ziliax, guys, if you remember Ziliax, it was a very good card. Why was Ziliax good? Well, you could magnetize it. Oftentimes you played it on its own. You kill a minion, you usually heal for 6. This comes several turns slower, but you're pretty much guaranteed to heal for 7. Maybe you heal for 14. You kill a minion, you get a taunt. It's a lot of the same reasons that Ziliax was good, except Ziliax came a bit earlier, which was usually enough to save you. But I think Paladin has healing and other stuff, that this is just like more good tools for Paladin, and I think we already have seen success in pure Paladin. So I'm going to give this a 5 in card quality and a 4 in meta relevance. I think this is really good. Maybe even a 5 in meta relevance. It's amazing. Oops. Next up we have Balloon Merchant. Again, in my skepticism to Dude Paladin. This only affects Silverhand recruits, and it gives them all +1 attack and Divine Shield. It works very well with the next card, which is, or this card, sorry, Faire. But my issue with it is basically if you don't have any minions, it's not great to play on 4. And you kind of like need certain curves to make it work. I mean, like, I think it still is strong because the stat line is not bad. It's hard to say. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I'm just not seeing the Dude Paladin pay off the way maybe some other people are. And I could be very wrong. But I'm going to give it like 3 out of 5 and maybe 2 out of 5 in meta relevance. I think they try it and it doesn't work. Whoops. Next up we have Carousel Griffin. This is a 5-mana Divine Shield. It's similar to that 5-mana 5/4 Divine Shield on its own. But when you corrupt it, it gains +3/+3 and Taunt. 5-mana 8/8 Divine Shield Taunt is quite good. Is it that good on turn 7? Maybe. I think, is it that good on its own? In Arena? Yes, this is going to be a monster in Arena. In Constructed? I'm not seeing it, really. I think it's okay. Again, maybe in a Highlander list. 3 out of 5 in card quality and a 2 out of 5 in meta relevance. Hammer of Naru. This is a 6-mana... weapon that gives you a 6/6 Holy Elemental with Taunt. So it's basically you get a 6/6 and you deal 9 damage over the course of 3 turns potentially. And it heals you. Like, you basically can clear a minion and get a little bit of, not heals you, but gives you defense. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a, 3 as well. It's a card that you'd probably want to run. I don't think I really see it in a lot of decks either. Like, it doesn't really fit the like Broom Paladin, Pure Paladin, that kind of vibe. But it's just one more card for Paladin to fit in, and I could see it in like a control list if that ever developed too. So it's a good card, 3 out of 5. I feel like I'm this is one of those things where I feel like a lot of the Paladin cards, I'm not seeing what deck they go in, and I'm looking at the decks that exist right now, and I'm just thinking, I don't think they want this. So Paladin is probably going to have a tier 1 deck, but, I'm not sure that it's getting a lot of the tools that it needs for that. Last but not least, we have one of the most powerful cards Paladin is getting, in my opinion, what makes the Dude Paladin archetype compelling, and in my opinion, you just play this regardless. It's Day at the Fair, which is summon 3 Silverhand recruits and corrupt summon 5. I think this card is very strong. It's a 3-mana 3/3 with 3 separate bodies for minions that have a ton of synergies within the set and are just like okay on their own anyway. But on top of that, it can become a 3-mana summon a 5/5, and then if you do, again, any of these synergies, it's just so strong. I think the Broom Paladin and those kind of decks do just run this. It's just good. Like, it's a very solid card. It's not too hard to corrupt, I think, in a lot of lists, and you don't need to corrupt it, and that's really important. Like, flexibility is important. You don't want to have to corrupt a card for it to be playable. So I'm going to give this a 4, and I think this is going to be in a tier 1 deck, and Paladin will have a tier 1 deck in my opinion, so I'm going to give it a 5 in meta relevance. That's it for the Paladin stuff. Next up, we have Priest. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.